High FM, 101.9 megahertz of life.
Welcome back to the Morning Mayhem with me, Howard Feldman, and psychologist Dr. Hanan Bushkin. For the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at various things. In our first discussion a few weeks ago, we looked at the stories we told ourselves. Last week, we spoke about difficult people, or is it difficult patterns? And this week, we want to talk about maybe why we worry so much. Dr. Hanan Bushkin, welcome back. I hope you are well.
I'm well. Thank you for having me again.
Great pleasure. Yeah, you keep coming back, so that means it's got to be good, right? Okay, so I always think, I get concerned when people try and eliminate anxiety completely from our lives. I happen to think that if we don't have anxiety, we don't do anything. So maybe I function at too high a level of anxiety, but I think anxiety is helpful. That said, sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe I worry too much about things that at 4 o'clock in the morning don't seem so bad. Why do we do that? First, let's start a step back. Is anxiety good for us? Is worry good for us?
So I'll put it to you this way.
Mm-hmm.
In life, value is married to stress.
Value is married to stress. Okay.
This is very important.
Yeah.
What you value comes with stress. There are
partners. Because we worry about it. We care for it.
That comes together.
Right.
The moment we care about something, we want to protect it.
Mm.
And when we care about something, we worry about it. So worry comes with value. Stress comes with value. They're partners for life. They're not getting entangled. They're the opposite sides of the same coin. What you value comes with stress.
I love that.
But that's very, very important. That's fundamental.
Because if I'm thinking about Chai at 2 o'clock in the morning,
it's because
I care.
Exactly.
About it.
I'm assuming you don't care about a radio station down in Afghanistan.
No.
Why? Because you don't value it.
You should have fatwa against me, but that's something different.
That's different. And then you would care about it because you value your life.
Exactly.
The moment there's value, there's going to be worry. We can't get away from it. So I value my kids, they come with stress. I value my marriage, it comes with stress. I value my financial security, my health, my sense of purpose, it comes with stress. Stress and value are married. And that's important. Therefore, you can't get away from it. You know who doesn't get stressed? Depressed people. Do you know why? Because they don't have any value.
Wow. Okay.
So you ask them, how's the marriage? I don't care. How's your friendship? I don't care. How's your job? I don't care. They don't have any value. People that don't have value, they don't have any stress because they don't need to protect anything. So to ask whether worry is good or bad, well, worry is going to be part of your life if you have value.
Yeah.
If you're going to have welcome to life. So it's not about getting rid of worry. It's not about getting rid of stress, but rather, how do you deal with it?
Amazing.
How do you manage it?
Okay. So how do we manage it? Because sometimes when we do worry, we catastrophize. For anyone who doesn't know, what is catastrophizing?
Yeah, when you actually make it bigger than it is. So when I have a particular event in my life that's consequential on a level of, let's say, 1 out of 10, and in my mind, oh my gosh, it's a 10 out of 10. I'm going to go to prison. They're going to arrest me. My marriage is going to fall apart. My relationship with my kids are going to fall to nothing. That when you make it bigger than it really is. So worry is part of life for sure. But when your brain, call that the 2-year-old, because if you ever try to debate and negotiate with a 2-year-old, you lose every time.
Every time, right?
So that when the 2-year-old gets hold of you, it will naturally catastrophize. And by the way, that's a very primitive thing. That's a thing that happens to every human being. Every human being will catastrophize because the moment you catastrophize and think of the worst possible case scenario, you can protect yourself against that.
We don't go near a cliff because we catastrophize.
Exactly.
What happens if the wind comes and blows us off and we fall? You're right.
We don't walk into the wild because what if I get eaten by a lion? Even though that could be very rare, very unrealistic, we think about these things so we can protect ourselves against the worst and therefore we don't put ourselves in danger. But the problem is that makes us really miserable because when we catastrophize with everything, that's very unlikely to happen. So, for example, people that have natural phobias. So whether it's agoraphobia or fear of flying or fear of germophobia, what people do is they catastrophize. If I don't wash my hands literally for 16 hours in the day, that means I will die of a rare disease. If I take this flight, the plane is definitely going to crash. My kids are going to grow up without a dad. My wife is going to grow up without a husband. So when we make things worse than they really are, to the level that stops me from functioning, because too much
is that the test? Is that the test? Because obviously we're saying some of it's important. We're not going to book a flight on an airline with no safety record because we care about ourselves, as a husband, as a father, etc. But if you stop booking a flight on a regular airline, then we got a problem.
The moment it stops you living your life to the fullest, that is when it's a problem. So the moment it stops you from living your life with all your anchors, and I want to define anchors.
Okay, let's do that.
Because this is very, very important, because many people say, Hanan, when I know it's too much, by overthinking,
That's
when
what I'm
it's
trying
too
to
much.
figure out here.
And I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you a formula. How do we know it's too much? Too much thinking, too much doing, too much hand washing, avoiding this, avoiding that. How do we know it's too much? So in the anchor-based approach, which is a method that I've developed, we discuss in life 15 anchors.
Okay.
15 areas of life that are absolutely important and that ground us. They're what we call 9 core anchors and 6 sub-anchors. The 9 core anchors are applicable to every human being on earth, and they're non-negotiables. The 6 are just add-ons. The 9...
Did you develop this?
Yes.
Great. Okay.
These are the 9 core anchors. Career, financial security, relationship with family, relationship with friends, romantic relationship and companionship, diet, exercise, sleep, and your medical health. That's the 9.
Always with the exercise. Yeah. Okay.
Can't get away from it. Can't get away from it.
No, everybody, it's like everyone's ganging up. Okay.
And the 6 sub-anchors, religion or spirituality. And by the way, some people say, but that's a core anchor. No problem. Then we move it to the core anchor category.
Yeah, it's interesting. The minute you said that, I thought,
yeah, for some people, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not for everybody.
Okay.
It's not for everybody. So religion or spirituality, hobbies, interest, art, culture, creativity, and sport, self-development, relaxation, meaningful pursuits, and your physical environment.
Okay.
So how do we know when something's too much? When it has a negative effect on your 9 core anchors. So for example, when I don't take the flight, and therefore I don't see my kids that live in another country, that affects my relationship with my kids.
Got it.
When I wash my hands to the point that I can't work, and that betrays my career anchor and my financial security anchor, then it's too much. So people will say, but Hanan, smoking, or how much coffee is too much? Well, if you're drinking coffee to the point that it's affecting your health, it's affecting your other anchor, then it's too much. So always judge what's the cost on the other side. So I'm going to do it. It makes me feel good, but does it come with a cost? And is the cost worth it?
Brilliant. I like that a lot. And that is a way to understand this. So we often replay difficult or unpleasant conversations. What is that about?
Unpleasant conversation with what?
With a person that we've had, someone I'm thinking of this sort of lying in bed, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're anxious about something, and you're worrying about some of the things, and then you go through some of your difficult relationships or your conversations. What is that about?
So the brain likes one thing more than anything else, and it dislikes the opposite more than anything else. The brain loves certainty, and it can't handle uncertainty. So certainty is incredible. So the moment you go to bed with an open loop, in other words, it's got to close. Your brain can't accept an open loop. And another way of saying an open loop is when there's a threat on what you value. When there's a threat on what you value, that's an open loop. So my boss gave me a warning. Okay, there's a threat on my career, hence there's a threat on what I value. I just had a fight with my spouse. There's a threat on what I value. That becomes an open loop. Right. I can't pay my bills at the end of the month. There's a threat on my financial stability. That becomes an open loop. And the brain tries to close it. So when you're lying in bed, all your brain is doing is going through simulations.
You're ruminating, really.
But trying to close that loop. But trying to figure out a way to mitigate that threat, to solve the problem, to eliminate the challenge. But sometimes the only thing that will eliminate the challenge is the next morning. Sometimes you've got to generate data the next morning, and therefore lying in bed, overthinking, going around in circles.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I read somewhere that women ruminate more than men. Men do. Men go play sport, drink, gamble. I'm not saying always healthily, but they'll move away from something, whereas women ruminate. I don't know if that is a accurate observation.
So women are naturally socialized to go more internal, and men are socialized to go more external.
External, so it would make sense in that way.
Right. But it's not always to say it's healthy.
Oh, no, I don't think so at all.
Because once, if for example,
you go drink to obliterate a feeling of conflict that you can't deal with.
Exactly.
No.
That doesn't solve the problem. Exactly. Exactly. But it's got another side of that.
Ruminating too much as well.
Exactly.
Keeps you stuck.
Exactly. So the point is, Anthony, are you thinking about it in a way that helps you solve the problem?
That is so. Okay. Give us a technique as we wrap this one up. Give us a technique that to stop ourselves or to identify when we are maybe overthinking, catastrophizing, spiraling. I think you've already given it to us, actually, but just for
so let me tell you. So the first step is always, and spend time on this because this will serve you for the rest of your life. Before you start solving, you want to define what it is. A lot of people skip that step. The moment you don't define what the challenge or what the threat is, then trying to solve something that you haven't defined is impossible.
Yeah.
So first define it, because the two mistakes that we make as human beings is, one, we don't define it.
Yeah, if you can't name it, you can't claim it.
Exactly. Or when people do define it, but they define it very broadly in pixelated terms. And when you define things broadly, the cost is that you can never create a solution for it
all over the place. You can't.
It's not defined. Exactly. Spend time. Don't take the lazy approach of not defining something or defining it broadly, because you can never create. Can I give you an analogy?
Sure.
If I take my car to a mechanic, mechanic 1 looks at the car, doesn't define it, doesn't diagnose it. Mechanic 2 defines it very broadly, says the car's broken. Mechanic 3 defines it specifically, says the car's broken because the right front tire is flat and there's a nail in the tire. Mechanic 1 that doesn't define it can't fix it. Mechanic 2 that defined it broadly.
It's too broad.
Too broad. What does it mean the car's broken? It doesn't mean anything. The only one that could fix it is the one that was specific about it. There's a nail in the tire, because now I can go and create a framework to solve the problem. So if you want to stop the rumination, first define it properly.
I love it. That is where we leave it, but I am going to ask you my favorite question. This week, when you catch yourself imagining the worst, remember
that in imagination, it's never as bad, or rather in imagination, it's always worse than when it's in reality.
Love it. And of course, you can find Hanan Bushkin's material on Spotify. I've now learned this myself on Apple Play, and of course on social media. Look for Dr. Hanan Bushkin. I'm Howard Feldman. This is your Morning Mayhem, 101.9 Chai FM.